Hello guys, and welcome to this update for Tropical Storm Fay. And as you can see, it's right around here. It looks like it's about to make landfall in New Jersey any hour now. I would say probably within the next, I don't know, about 2 to 4 hours. It'll probably make landfall in New Jersey here. Here are the stats for the storm. This is a 50 knot storm, which is equivalent to 60 miles an hour, so it's pretty modest tropical storm. The central pressure is 998 millibars. It's located 38.8 north, 74.5 west, and the movement is 10 knots to the north or 12 miles an hour. Alright, here we go. Heavy rain and winds moving northward along the mid-Atlantic coast as Fay's center nears the Jersey shore. So, yes, as I was saying, anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, they'll probably make landfall here. Public advisory is moving 5 degrees north at 12 miles an hour. So it's moving up some slack here. Here are the tropical storm warnings. Fenwick Island, Delaware to Witch Hill, Rhode Island, including Long Island and Long Island Sound to southern Delaware Bay. So anywhere in these areas are going to experience tropical storm force winds. And I wouldn't be surprised if for slight instances we see hurricane force gusts. Because, you know, getting 10 to 15 miles per hour gusts higher is not really unfathomable with a 60 mile per hour tropical storm. So some minor damage might be caused with this system, so please make sure that you have everything inside your house, all your small projectiles, you know, anything that might be laying around on the ground. Make sure they are inside, or, you know, put in a very secure place like a garage or, you know, anything like that. We don't want those things flying around breaking windows. You know, because that's how the wind gets inside the house, and that's how roofs get blown off. Is when the wind gets inside the house. That's how it happens. Here are the hazards for the system. Rainfall. Fay is expected to produce 2 to 4 inches of rain with isolated maxima of 7 inches along and near the track from Delaware northward into New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, southeast New York, and southern New England. The rain may result in flash flooding and urban flooding in areas with poor drainage where the heaviest amounts occur. Widespread river flooding is not expected at this time. So there is going to be some flooding, but just not river flooding. Winds. Tropical storm conditions will continue to spread northward within the warning area through tonight. Storm surge and minor coastal flooding is possible in portions of the tropical storm warning area. Tornadoes. Isolated tornadoes are possible today across coastal areas of New Jersey, northeast New York, and southern New England. This is probably the most important factor right here is tornadoes. Besides the wind, tornadoes is going to be a factor here. So if you guys get a tornado warning, please go to your safest place in your house and stay away from windows. All right, let's take a look at the forecast discussion here. See what that has to say. Key messages, you know, the heavy rain is going to be a thing. You're probably going to get, you know, 5 to 7 inches. But I do believe this might be a little bit higher. My predictions are about 9 to 11, somewhere around that area. So watch out for flooding here. Tropical storm conditions. You know, it's a 60 mile per hour storm. I don't think it's gonna weaken all that quickly because it's gonna pull in energy from her frontal system. You know, that's coming in and gonna be taking this out when the time comes, anyways. So I do not see this weakening quickly. So it's going to stay a tropical storm for the next 24 hours as it shows here on the forecast position and maximum winds. So right now it's at 60. it's inland, it'll be 50 miles per hour, then 35, then 35, then it goes post-tropical 48 hours before dissipating into a frontal system at about 60. So that's the timing and the strength of the storm at the current moment. Here is a look at the visible infrared satellite here, and as you can see clear as day where the circulation of spin is. It's right out here, so it's completely exposed right now. So as you can see, most of the activity is to the northwest and the northeast side of the system. There is some convection trying to pop up out here, but that's probably gonna, go into Massachusetts, sometime, later today or overnight tonight. So just because the storm's over here doesn't mean you're not going to feel a fix over here in Massachusetts. New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania are the worst cases right now. But over here, when this thing gets in here, you might get some pretty gusty winds and some very heavy rain, but no, it won't extend as deep as over here in these three states of Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey. Let's take a look at the GFS right now. We're gonna take a look at the where this thing might be going, and then we'll be looking at the wind speeds for both the GFS and the European. So let's get started here. As you can see, I'm gonna go back here. We can't go back there. So this is valid at 18Z, which is pretty much coming up in the late afternoon evenings or time period. And here's the system right here. It's 1,002 millibars, so it's a pretty nifty tropical storm right here. You can see that the isobars are pretty tightly wrapped around each other for what it is. And you can see this heavy precipitation that's in New Jersey right now, and we're going to be going into New York here in due time. So we're going to go out in time. Here's 12 hours. It looks like 1,001 millibars, so maybe strengthening just a little bit more. Who knows? We don't know yet. Alright, there's 18 hours out. There's 24. And, by the time it hits 30, it looks like it's already dissolved into a frontal system. So, there's that. And then 120 hours out, is pretty much gone out of here and nothing else to worry about at the current time. Here are the wind speeds right now, and as you can see, these brighter shades are starting to pop up here. This is six hours from now at the 18Z. And as I said, you can see some oranges popping up, which is about 52 knots. We're getting up there into the 50 knot range. So it's pretty much correct, right on the money at 60 miles an hour. So let's go out through time and see what happens here. You can see the winds start to spread out a little bit more. And then you can see right down here that it really blows up. Those are getting up there to 58, in between 52 and 58 knots of wind. So this may strengthen a little bit more before it's all said and done. I wouldn't be surprised if they picked it up to about 65. That's probably the max that I'm going with it. I don't see anything else happening above that. That is for sure. So as you can see, the winds start to spread out a little bit. We still got 46 to 50 knot winds going in on shore in Massachusetts, according to the GFS. And then it's a pretty nifty storm all the way until it gets caught up with the frontal system that's going to drag it out to sea and is out of here. So that's what happens with the GFS. Let's take a look at the European real quick. And as you can see, here is the system right here. This is our rugged high pressure. Seems like it's backing off a little bit because these low pressures are eating away at it. So the high pressure isn't as strong right now. according to the European. So that's what's gonna keep the storm, moving north instead of northeast, because it's gonna get pulled by this trough of low pressure up here, or there might be one over here too. So let's go out in time. And as you can see, the European has this that's between 46 and 50 knots, so that's pretty significant as well. That's about 55 to 60 miles per hour, so it's right on the mark with what the National Hurricane Center has. So we're gonna go out in time, and these only go in 24-hour increments because that's how they do it there in the European versions. So here we go. This 24 hours, and it still has some pretty windy conditions here. Still talking about 46 to 50 knots, even this far inland. So this is going to be interesting to see. Now 48 hours out, it's all the way up here in Canada. So now it's really not anything to worry about. But it does seem that despite this system being all the way up here, there's still some wind threat here in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, places like that. You're still getting 40 knots of wind. So even when this storm is gone, you're still going to be dealing with some wind. So let's go out, and it starts to clear out 72 hours out. As you can see, the wind really dies down, and you're looking at between 7 and maybe 15 knots of wind. So that's a pretty normal day, if you ask me, I would think. All right, well, that's that with that one. Now we're gonna look at the heights with the height lines. And as you can clearly see here, here's our high pressure. It's pretty rugged because of these low pressures. But this too will, come back with time. And that's going to be a discussion for another day, probably tomorrow, when Fay starts to wind down a little bit. But here is Fay, 1,002 millibars. We're going to go out with time. There's 1,001. Then it starts to make that eastward turn here with the rebuilding of the high pressures. So not only with the rebuilding of the high pressures, but with the frontal system that it's picked up with as well. And there it goes, out to sea. Nothing to worry about. So maybe in the next 24 to 48 hours, you're going to have to deal with some inclement weather. Flash flooding, probably minor wind damage or power outages. You got to expect that with tropical systems, no matter what power or strength that it is. So before I get out of here, guys, we're gonna take a look at the warnings going on right now. As you can see, this is pretty much the New York City area, and as you can see, tropical storm warnings are in effect for New York City. So yeah, here's a little fun fact for you. Over the 150 years that people have been documenting these systems on a normal, regular basis, only nine tropical cyclones have hit the northeast in 150 years. Let's just rack that into our minds a little bit. 150 years. So this is a pretty unprecedented event right here. And you got your flood watches and flood warnings here. And we're gonna take a look at this radar real quick before we get out of here too. And the New York City area has been getting pummeled with rain and more rain, and probably the wind too. I wouldn't be surprised if New York is picking up 40 to 50 mile per hour winds, and maybe 60 in wind gust. I wouldn't be surprised at all. As you can see, it's a big shield of rain here, so please be careful. Please don't be outside in this. You know, that's the worst thing you could do right now, is be outside in a tropical weather event. And if you do, if it's emergencies, I can see that. But if you see water on the roadways, you hear the Weather Channel here to say this. You hear your local news channel say this. If you see flooded waterways, turn around. Do not drown. It is not worth risking your life or the other person's life that you may have with you. So please be safe out there. I might have another update later, depending on if I'm busy or not. Anyways, I want to thank you guys for watching, and have a nice day. And stay safe.